It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Welcome, everybody, to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at noon Eastern. That's 9 a.m. Pacific for about an hour each day. We do gun-related topics, 3 each day, different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube. We simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the comments that come in from everybody that watches the show live. The best of the shows, and post the audio over on iTunes as a podcast. We appreciate everybody that listens to the show now or in the future that leaves us that watches the show, but also that take the time to leave us feedback, subscribe to the channel, and participate in those social media platforms. You give us encouragement as hosts, so we know people are out there and where you might be. We also appreciate the interaction that does with the platform, which allows our show to be recommended for more listeners. I'm going to start adding to that. I also appreciate the effort, because at a time like now, we need to have skilled advocates out there, and knowing how to use those social media platforms, and knowing that your contributions in those simple ways is ultimately, thanks again for people that use our show as a way to practice, and for people that take that theory and go out and apply it to other firearms related content. In any case, we have hosts. We got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Oh, glad to be here.
We got Jimmy running the show out of Phoenix, as always.
Hey,
thanks.
speaker.
And then I'm in Dodge City, Kansas today. So this is the Dodge City museum complex, I guess. There's a hotel that you walk into, and it's a gift shop, and you pay your admission. And then there's a 13-minute video running on the loop. And then the various exhibits, old town front, but the buildings I understand are connected inside, so you don't really need outside. And of course, we're standing in front of the FC Zimmerman Firearms, Ammunition, Hardware, Tinware, and Lumber building. And we'll start the show. So today is, what is this, episode 412?
412. Feels like I just got here.
So I got a lot of background noise. Maybe I should walk away. So today we're, I don't know what the topics are. I don't have my spreadsheet on here, but it's what, Tuesday? No, Wednesday. So it's our entertainment day. And imagine what's up then entertainment-wise. And then the reason we're here on the gun show loophole tour is that the 2 guns in a collection. So to look at, I guess we're going to kind of screw with the schedule again. But otherwise, we try to do like a gun of the day, a gun shop day. And hey, maybe we should have this be our gun shop of the day. And the rest. So, I don't know, with what happened overnight, it's interesting with you guys.
Not really, man. Just the same old news and stuff. There was a few good chats on. I got a chance to check out a little bit of Hit or Miss. I got a chance to check out a little bit of Ghost. The Ghost Tactical Tuesday. That's what it's called. Yeah, my bad. A couple good chats going on, but I've kind of been steering clear of the news lately.
Yeah, I feel a little saturated right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like Paul Ryan is no longer an advocate of individual freedom or anything. So if we choose to ignore what's going on, that lets the other side of the coin, the people that have an agenda and aren't unscrupulous, lets them run wild. Don't we have an obligation to start paying attention right now, even though it's not comfortable, interesting, or appealing?
Yeah, actually, that is a very good point, because I mean, the other side, our opposition, they're and I hate to look at it like that, but that's just the way that it is right now. They're making their moves. I said the other day, I said it today. Nancy Pelosi has her letters out. Time for us to start getting our letters out. They're working together. I think that it's time for us to start doing the same. Oh man, they got fudge. Now I'm really jealous.
Yeah, that looks good.
It's about the waterways.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
did you go up on the hill?
Not yet. That's up the
Yeah,
stairs.
Make sure you go up there before you leave. You can need to take the scenic steps past the jail. There's a building that's full of displays. Don't miss.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Floors, but this definitely is the olden days. I don't think you read that kind of.
I'm more concerned about the one in the.
I'm assuming you go down here. How is the video and audio doing?
You're still doing good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, so with a little bit of assistance, I figured out where I'm going. So got some guns here. This looks like the barber shop. It was like when Bob was a kid getting a haircut.
Yeah.
Your parents would sit here. Bob would sit on that little stool, I guess. What is that, for putting your boots on to get them polished or something? Or no, is that for the, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. That's you put your shoes up there and then they shine your shoes. You give them a quarter or something.
Big spender Jimmy. Give him a nickel.
Yeah, quarter back then. So it looks like we've got a bunch of rifles. Pretty good display. And then you've got some information about them here. I'll grab photos when we're all done. And they talk about the cartridges on the board here.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Like there was
gives a little.
Quite a variety of cartridges back in the Old West.
Yeah, must have been frustrating. Oh, I guess I should have turned around. Right on. So they have it as, I don't know if it's just the introduction one, I guess, but we got your frontiersmen. So your flintlocks and your percussion hunters. Got a Garcia in there. Then you got your buffalo hunters. So some of the big boar. I think we have some people that like big boar.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? That's a new one. That's kind of interesting too. Then you get gambler guns. That's a good way to describe these. They're lit pretty well. Not just from one angle. It seems like you got light coming in. And then the description of everything on the side. Let's see. Pretty good assortment of stuff that we have on the deck too. Smith and Wesson number 2.
That's really cool. The lighting in there, like you're saying, like you don't get any glare coming back at you or anything. The lighting is really good.
Yeah, the glass seems like a good anti-reflective glass, and the lighting in there is really good. It's nice and white. LED bulbs, I'm guessing.
So now, is that all Dodge City specific? I know that they have it split up to different areas, but is that stuff that would be found in that area at that time or whatever? For a certain time period?
So most of the descriptions relate to Dodge City. You know, Dodge City was founded in blah, blah, blah. There was no, Dodge City was a town. So yeah, this seems like it's all very Dodge City centric. And I don't know, I haven't read everything. I just got in here. But these might be actual guns from people. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, that's very cool.
Colt display. Kind of goes from the bottom up chronologically. Then there's a description here of Colt. Wheels. Sorry, I'm taking a second here to read. Why don't you guys talk about something? I just wanted to see something interesting.
I just find it interesting that there were so many variations of firearms and cartridges and everything back then. Like you say, it must have been hell at a general store to go in and if you want a specific caliber. Like, what would they do? Order one box of everything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
And then
people talk about nowadays. I was just going to say, people talk about nowadays how, like, if crap hits the fan or whatever, and you want to have be caliber centric and have something that you could just pick up and you have bullets for, whatever. They couldn't do it back then.
Yeah, your best bet back then would probably be percussion. You know, because you could, worst comes to worst, you could take other cartridges apart.
That's a good point. And you think about it, those things did last for a long, long time. And that might be a big reason why you're on it there, I think. This is pretty interesting. Bunch of all different handcuffs. You ever seen these kind? They're like gloves. You can't fiddle around.
Oh, those are cool.
Get those for Bob and he'll quit picking at everything.
I was just going to say, I wonder what the crime you had to commit to get those things slapped on was.
Yeah, probably had something to do with lewd acts in public or something.
Got another room.
Right, Jimmy, you're going to wear these from now on.
Some kind of horse business going on here. What's this horse dress? What's up with that?
I don't know. Unless it's for bugs.
Is that for bugs, just to keep flies off of them?
I don't know. Never seen anything like it before. Something I could think of.
Oh, here we go. So this is a little bit more of the, I guess the other side, that's the door I tried to come in before. Maybe this is a representation of what it had been look like.
Oh, is that like a gunsmith or is that the sheriff's?
No, this is like the gunsmith building. It's just the other side that you can't come in the front door.
Oh, cool.
It was like the hardware store. Stock, being cut down, maybe replaced. I can't tell if with the light if that's a broken one or if that's like a template that they're using. I think that's a template. They're using this thing here is the template, and then this is a little contraption that's carving this stock piece of wood into the gun stock. So that's kind of neat. I just think, but that makes sense. That'd be stupid. So they had little fixtures that could, it's the same you would with like a chair leg or something. You don't whittle that out by hand every time. Yeah. So lots of cool pictures in here. These are like those tin signs, I think. Pictures of these, kind of cool. That's the one bad thing. This is super neat that we can walk around like this, but since I'm using my phone, I can't take any pictures while I'm in here.
So you should have another phone for pictures.
Oh, here's the guy, I guess. This is the actual gunsmith, owner of the first hardware store in Dodge City. He died in 1888. He had a daughter. That's her on the left. Daughter Claire shown here in her wedding dress in 1889. She was born in Kit Carson, Colorado, came with her parents to Dodge City. She came to Dodge City on a railroad car that had the ties for the new railroad track that was making its way to Dodge City. So imagine being on the trains that were still being laid down to get you to towns like this. That's definitely original settlers.
Yeah, really.
Pretty close to being original. The first ones walked out there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Okay, this is his wife, and it says that she came to Dodge City in 1872 with her husband. She first went to live her practically life. And then that's their son, and he was killed in a horse accident when he was 16. So we often forget that, like, what the minimum age or medium age back there was, like 35 or something. At least all you old timers.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember the reason it was that is because of all the children that died in childbirth. That just knocks the statistics way down. People did live to be 70 years old. I mean, you know, look at his age. He was obviously in his 60s anyway.
That's another one of those ones we saw yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That crazy stock and held like 30 rounds or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the assault carbine of the time.
You know, some of these you look at them and you're like, oh, that's old and strange or whatever. And then you see something like this and you realize that's what they looked like when they were brand new. We're looking at them dozens and hundreds, well, not hundreds, but dozens of years later. And, you know, they look rusty, but they all look pretty much like that. And think how close that looks to just some, you know, Winchester on the shelf today. So it looks like we've got another. This is the Outlaws. I think Outlaws are similar to the South during the Civil War. They didn't have, you know, Colt to go buy everything from. They didn't have hundreds from, right? So they were all using the same rifle. They had to just take whatever they could get. So they're going to have a lot more variety. Well, I guess the Confederacy could have bought stuff, but they tended to just take whatever's in the closet. So
Yeah,
this
but
is a jail, I guess.
I think a lot of the Outlaws,
since there's only like bolts in it.
Schofields and such.
Gun used by Dave Mather is not known if the weapon is used in Tom Nixon. Okay, so it's not from Tom Nixon. I guess this is a bunch of bad guys. Oh, here's cool. Here's a picture of that shop we were standing in front of a minute ago. Except back in the days. Look at that. He had a rifle sticking right out of the store in front of everybody.
Yeah, nowadays that trigger bunch.
I don't know. Do we want to go through the whole, or since I'm thinking we're out of guns now?
Ghost was asking on the YouTube side if there was any Doc Holliday stuff there.
Doc Holliday? There must have been.
Probably, I'd suspect if there was, it'd probably be in a gambler thing or something.
I don't remember who was here or not. Masterson was here. No. Was Holliday a good guy or a bad guy when he was here?
Was he? I think he was a gambler still.
Yeah, he was kind of a good guy.
He wasn't a sheriff or like anything like that at the time. He was just some gambling dude, and I don't think he had the best reputation, did he?
No.
Gambling dentist.
Yeah, I always thought he was known as like a cutthroat before he hooked up with the good guys and all that. I don't know. Wyatt Earp and them.
That's kind of cool. This must have been in the bank. This is their internet back then.
Yeah. Hard to find the send key on it, though.
Yeah. All right, I think that is it. So I guess we did go through the whole thing. Do we see these swords?
I don't think so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't think about swords back then, but they actually did. People did carry them.
It says Knights Templar, so it's some sort of Knights Templar swords. Oh, here we go. Hobbies of the Old West. Wow. They were good at carving. Look, they made a cell phone.
It's the first prototype of a flip phone.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? That's just one piece of wood that he carved the ends into blocks, the center part into twos, rods. They're separate. Are just
like links almost. Yeah.
carpets. I like that. I don't think
Well, you know, you got to remember they
that
had
is awesome.
You know,
Huh?
they had a lot of time back then on their hands.
Going nuts, waiting for the damn mat. I've seen this. I think that's pretty good. That's one. That's one piece of wood, and you just carve the center out. That's pretty neat. Yeah, thank you. This is a chair where Bob's sitting, or Dan would be sitting, spend coffee.
Yep. Oh, Dano would be sitting on a Cracker Barrel. Bitching that his gout was bothering him.
But you can't get away from that country music.
That's as it should
Right,
be.
I think What?
I say that's as it should be. It's country town. It should be country music 24/7.
All right. Well, I think that's most of it. There's a school, a church, and a railroad also.
Where's
But I'll
the
walk out everything here. I'm gonna go.
Where's the saloon?
What?
Where's the saloon?
It was like the first thing we walked into. We walked in. I walked in the main entrance and the gift shop, and you pay your admission. You come out over here, and I guess you come out on the second floor. And nowadays, she explained why. I don't know if I had the microphone on the whole time I was in there at the candy store, but you go across there, and that must be Boot Hill. Up behind all this on a hill ramp that I came down and went into that first like storefront, and that is like a candy shop or something. Like they had fudge or whatever in there, and then you come out. Well, you don't even have to go in that one. You go to the second one to get into that whole museum, and that was the bar. Those guys were just sitting there talking to each other and not trying to sell me a drink. So I figured out it was a bar, but I just kind of walked through it real quick.
Well, I was looking for the painted ladies.
Did I walk all the way back to the front? What was all that about?
Shouldn't ought to be phones back in those days. Phones.
I want to know where they smoked cigarettes back in the olden days, because I'm guessing you're not supposed to smoke around these rickety old wooden buildings.
They were smoking them in the buildings and like tossing them on the floor. Or find a
So how many
spittoon.
of all have dealt with one of these before?
Oh yeah, that one looks like it's just about ready to fall in.
Those seats are mighty close to each other.
Yeah. Well. People weren't nearly as shy back then.
I guess not. Ew.
Jeez, we really didn't need to see that, G.
What?
We really didn't need to see that.
Is that
You
all
went in there.
because
You were down in there. I was standing here minding my business. You went down in there. I thought that was gross.
I just thought you were trying to show us the
So
inside
do you
of
think
stuff,
that
like when Smeggy was cleaning his
they
high
had water
power.
back then?
Hard to say that close
They
to
would
the
have done.
No, if that's
Yes, so.
close to the outhouse, you wouldn't run out of water. I don't know if you'd want to drink it.
Yeah, I don't think the outhouses were necessarily always holes, were they? Wouldn't just put like they do nowadays. They'll just put like a big bucket or something in there, and you just keep taking that bucket and slopping it, throwing it somewhere.
No, usually they were just holes. And then when the holes got full, you just moved it over a few feet and filled in the hole.
Free fertilizer, I guess.
Yeah, although, and it was good at Halloween time because the trick was to move it back about 2 feet. The next person that stepped in it really stepped in it.
Oh man.
I actually remember doing that as a kid.
Yeah, just the way when you're walking through there and showing like the wooden floors and how everything's set up all old timey, it reminds me kind of a Tombstone. Dale.
Except for the plastic bags in the
You
garden.
say Tombstone? I keep muting it because there's speakers like every 40 feet and it would be blasting you guys out. Did you say it reminds you of Tombstone?
Yeah, on a smaller scale, but yeah, just the way they got everything set up all old timey.
Yeah, this is the part that drives me nuts because this certainly wouldn't have ever been here. People were walking around and, this would be mud, dirt.
Yeah.
Or wood like this, right? But the other thing that's weird is that it's only one side. Like Tombstone is so much more authentic because it's the real street. You got the other side and it's like 2 blocks long. This weird, just like pick it up and drop it in the middle of modern America stuff. Tombstone, you have to drive for like an hour out into the middle of nowhere to get to it. So, but This is as authentic. Who's first? I'm assuming Dodge City was first, but actually, I don't know. I mean, historically, I don't know, but I think as far as modern civilization or modern history, wasn't Dodge City before Tombstone?
I believe so, yeah.
The gold rush came out of California and then like Oregon and stuff, and then that's what this was all a result of, like the gold rush out of Colorado, right?
Yep.
I guess I should watch the 15-minute video. Do we have an audience today, or are we ruining it? But if there's an audience out there, there is a 13-minute video we could sit through, and they said we could record, so we could go watch 13 minutes worth of info and not just speculate. But on the other hand, we don't have to do that either. So maybe do a poll or something.
Gotta get those comments coming in. I'm checking out the gun channel side.
We got 17 watching.
Tony said, "Go watch." That's all we got over there so far. Watch, Angry says. We got 2 for watch. 3 for watch. And we got somebody on YouTube saying watch. So, Tony Ellum, watch. Let's watch it.
I think people want to watch the video.
Huh? Seems like a pretty solid consensus.
Okay, if you guys are down, then I'll go over here so we can do some actual meat of the show, and we can go out there or go back in. It runs on a continuous loop, so it's not like we have to wait for anything.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
So I'm sure we had some topics. Do we have them filled out today?
Entertainment, we didn't have any, but good idea, bad idea we do. But if you want to talk about entertainment, I mean,
we can talk about movies that are about this place, huh?
Yeah.
Heck of a good idea. There is quite a few movies about Dodge City.
Well, I do have some bad news. I guess we could talk about that.
Your dog pooped in the camper?
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut the tour short. It's the weather is getting horrible, and I'm not sure we're gonna survive it. So I think we better get back down to Arizona. So it's 60 tonight, and they say it's gonna be 50 in Colorado. So that's unreasonable.
Yeah, you don't want to freeze to death out there, dude.
We don't have to die for this, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's nice. That's just nice weather. Good God.
We didn't have to wake up to this dog. His teeth were literally chattering because he was so cold.
Well, then you just let him cuddle up under the blankets with you.
I don't want to smell like a dog, so no.
You've been living with him in the van for 2 weeks. You do
It's
smell
actually
like a
cold.
dog. Just admit it.
It was actually cold last night. First time I used every single blanket I brought.
Oh man, should have had a little propane heater.
No, I'm gonna get one because it's they say they said it's gonna be 50 in Colorado.
Yeah, you can get those ones real cheap that just fit on top of a 1 gallon propane tank. Those things will last for hours and hours and hours on that 1 gallon.
So I don't keep track of things like what town a movie was in. I can't think of a movie that's about Dodge City.
There was an old one that I watched when I was like a kid with my grandfather. I think it was just called Dodge City.
As soon as I said that, I was thinking, except for there is a movie called Dodge City, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it was like a 30s movie or a 40s movie or something like that.
It's like Gary Cooper or some shit.
I could look.
I guess all with the MDBA.
Errol Flynn, Bruce Cabot. Yeah, nobody super special in there.
Look at this. I can't even get any peace. And a dog sticking out of my armpit.
Dodge City. Why isn't that where Wyatt rode out to after the whole they killed his brother or something in the pool hall?
Well, I think he came from Dodge City in Tombstone, right? In Tombstone, didn't he leave Dodge City as like sheriff or mayor or something, and then was like, I'm done with being a politician or a sheriff, I'm gonna go to Tombstone or something. And then I remember reference of it, something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was out there with Bat Masterson or something like that.
Well, Bat Masterson was the something here. He's like the one I think of, so it must be one of the bigger names from this place. What's yours? Now that I've driven here, this is far away from everything, and I can't imagine how long this would take to get to on a horse. It would take forever. This was 3 or 4 hours from Oklahoma City. And I'm probably 6 or 8 hours driving from Denver. Was Albuquerque probably was a thing back then? Or is Denver more? What's the place in the Dakotas? That's going to be all the way across Wyoming, though. Was there any towns in Wyoming that were really big?
Trying to think, because I remember the Arizona territory, like Tombstone and all that, got started because wasn't it big into mining or something, and then people came out here to gamble. It was like a
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they came out here to dig for copper and gold. Well, right. Gold, and then they figured out copper and silver, I guess. But then the gambling, I think, was just a result of like whatever town stayed big, got a gambling hall, and then all those people that were already out here figured out a place to raise hell or something. But I don't think many people said, hey, I'm going to go on vacation to like Tombstone to go gambling. It wasn't like casinos, like resort casinos or anything.
Yeah, I heard Arizona's nice this time of year.
Yeah, let's drive for 4 weeks to get down there. Right? Versus 4 weeks to get down there. Yeah, I think you moved, right? You said, this sucks, let's go someplace else, and then you just pulled up stakes and went there. Imagine all the farms and ranches around here, would come into town. So there's probably some element of that. You don't really have a lot of ranches. Well, there's no opportunity for ranches like there is out here. I mean, the whole way, that 5 hours, I think, was grass. Like, you could pretty much throw a cow out there and it's going to eat and turn into a fat cow. Arizona, you got to put effort into keeping a cow alive. And it ain't getting fat. It's just going to stay not dead.
No.
At least down by Tombstone. I guess our movie of the day could be the 13 minutes of movie we're about to go watch.
Yeah, somebody out in the YouTube side. Oh no, that was the Gun Channel side.
So here's the thing. We talk about this being an interactive show. We don't know nothing. I don't have time to research any of this. None of us just know this stuff. I mean, we know some pieces of it, but it's a participatory show. So, help us Wikipedia stuff. Be part of the show.
Yeah, Sean was saying, or Tony said, Texas cattle drives ended up in Kansas a lot.
Oh, that's a really good point. I'll bet you that was a big part of these, because they would, if there was railroad or something up here and there's a big railroad museum, then yeah, they would gather all their cows up, run them up here, sell them all, make their money for the year, raise hell, pay their guys. They would go lose all real quick.
Plus, the cattle were actually getting fed up on the way there, right? They were grazing the grass on the way, because there was a lot more grass there than was back in Texas.
Well, it's a little different when you feed a cow a bunch of like corn and mushed up chickens, and then put them in a feedlot and then put them on a train. That's different than you have a cow that weighs, I don't know how much a cow weighs, 1,000 pounds, and then you walk it up to Kansas. You better be feeding that cow the whole way, or else it's only going to weigh 300 pounds when it gets to Kansas, right?
Exactly, and that's what they would do, because cows do tend to they eat everything around them. But if you're keeping
they have to,
and you don't move them too fast, they will eat the whole way.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They'll just kind of mosey. Plus, these weren't like 25 cows. These were 2,500 cows, right?
Oh yeah, and only about 20 guys herding the whole herd. It's quite amazing that they could keep control of those herds.
Well, we're all pretty much experts if we've watched any amount of rawhides.
Yeah, well, I've actually done it, and it's a lot of work. It's nothing I would ever want to do for a living.
I knew a couple of guys when I was hanging out in Wyoming that would still do it the old-fashioned way with horses, but most of them would use motorcycles or trucks to get them off the range.
Yeah, we always,
depending on how big their ranges are. Would you shut up?
We actually had to use horses. There was so much rock and shit out in the fields. If you tried to use a truck or a motorized vehicle, you would bust it within the first hour. Horses are just way better for rough country.
Now, when we were up at that missile silo, I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but he had a ranch dog with him, and he was using that to run a bull out of his bunch of cows. And ranch dogs doing stuff like that for those guys too. And nowadays, with, like you say, if you got a motorcycle and you can't get down somewhere, you can have 4 or 5 dogs with you and send 2 of them down to root some stupid cow out of a gully or whatever.
Yep, because that was a lot of the big part of the job, was finding those strays that would wander off and get stuck in a gully, or just stuck in a mud hole.
They're fine, content where they are. You got to run them out of wherever the hell they're hanging out and remove them. Yeah, and then once they get moving, then they think they're just part of that herd and they just move with it. But yeah, it's just getting them all together, right?
Yeah, there's generally one lead cow that will, it's the one the other cows follow for whatever reason. But
with goats, you put a one and they all follow that guy.
Yeah, kind of like.
All right, well, we kind of did our gun shop of the day. It's that Zimmerman gun shop. We try to feature a new gun shop every day, and then
that just happens to be a really old one.
Yeah, and I'll go in and get pictures. I'm sure there's more information about it, and then we'll do a video, specific video on the history of that shop, and then the guns and stuff, and then we'll do the movie in there as the movie of the day. Do we have a gun history? We missed the Battle of Mogadishu yesterday. It started yesterday and it continued on till today. So if you think about it, you've been sitting around doing whatever you've been doing all day, stressing about Ryan turning coat and what's her face, the bitch, exploiting all this, and you've been stressing on that, or maybe worrying about how to pay for something, or just what to eat for lunch tomorrow. And back in 93, I forget the year now. It's Black Hawk Down. So Battle of Mogadishu is the movie Black Hawk Down. So while we've been sitting around doing nothing, there was a couple of pilots getting tortured, and a whole bunch of guys in a giant clusterfuck trying to get them out of there. We've all seen the movie, so that's happening today.
Maybe we should put that as the movie of the day today.
Yeah, let's do it. That's an awesome movie. So Black Hawk Down. So I'm assuming everybody's seen it. We try to pick a movie that you might not have seen before, or the one that you haven't seen in a while. And if you're going to watch a movie, once a year, or for any kind of significance, then might be a time to. I don't know if it's on Netflix or. That's the kind of movie I'd almost say it's worth having a DVD of.
Oh yeah, it's one of the movies you could. Well, me personally, anyway, I could watch over and over again. Definitely a great movie.
I think it's neat because it's an interesting movie. Of course, it's an action movie and all that, but then of course it's based on actual events, not just
yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. The historical points to it that definitely add to the movie too. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt, definitely got 2 thumbs.
Yeah, same here. Solid 2 thumbs up for that. It was a heck of a movie. Made a really great video game out of it too.
It's crazy to watch, man, when they're getting swarmed in the helicopter. It's just imagine being in that situation. That's got to be hell.
Oh, it's yeah. I can't really imagine it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we didn't really have a transition. We haven't really had segments, but normally we do try to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Do we have anybody already in the list? Somebody recommended or that we wanted to feature?
I went through everybody in the email.
Okay, so I'm going to feature John out of New York, John Z. I don't know if he's listening now or not, but he's an active participant in Gun Channels over the last, I don't know, it's been a year now or more, and hangs out quite a bit in the evening chats and participates in the text chats during the various live shows. And whenever we were driving through Pennsylvania, we had really good internet then, and I hadn't set up the radio. Smeggy gave me one of them satellite radios, so I had listened to, but I was able to run a live chat almost the entire distance from Ohio over to New York, going east and west going east through Pennsylvania. And during that chat, we were talking about the destination I was going to, the Bannerman Castle. So John said, "Oh, I got time. I'm going to drive up there." At first he was going to take the train up. Anyway, we met up at the ferry, the boat that takes you across to the island, and toured the island, and then got a chance to meet up. And actually, let me turn on the camera here. John gave me this thing. If it's working, this solar charger battery bank thing. And you can see right now I've got the internet and the phone charging off of it right now. And it doesn't charge 100% off the solar. I've let it run. We were back where there was a lot of sun. It's all cloudy today, but the solar will probably trickle, like how they say, like keep the battery charged with a trickle. But you can just plug it in and let it charge off the wall or off the cigarette lighter, and it works just fine. But thanks, John, for that. I guess they're available online, fairly cheap. So he insisted I take his, and I'm glad he did, because my battery that I had is kind of taking a crap. I guess after 4 years, it's probably lost its charge memory or something. So anyway, John's been a big supporter of efforts people do on Gun Channels, and that's really the reason we built the place, so that people could collaborate. They could find content that they find interesting, and I think that helps a lot with the people that are creating content that isn't, blockbuster stuff that is interesting to them, or that it's on a smaller scale, and that having someone out there to participate is necessary. You lose all type of ambition to do stuff when there's no feedback, right? When there's nobody out there paying attention. So really do appreciate John and everybody who's participating to keep those efforts going and keeping people encouraged. So yeah, when we built the place, that was one of the goals, and John's definitely a perfect example of the place.
Yeah, for sure. He's a lot of fun to talk to. I've talked to him a few times in the chats and that. He's definitely got his own points of view, but yeah, quite interesting.
And I'm going to throw in there also that, yeah, when we built it, we expected it to be a national thing. And it has been very cool to have people who have, the various points of view, the knowledge of their region. So living in New York City, We only have a few guys from New York City, a couple people that located from New York or the city even, but just a couple of guys that actually live in the city. So definitely appreciate having that insight that we wouldn't normally get at all.
Yeah, John's definitely a good dude, man. Another guy that just jumped in here head first, started being a part of a lot of different live chats, a lot of the different shows that were going on prime time too. So yeah, glad to have him over here.
So every day we feature a member. It's just a way to say thanks to the people that are participating and to acknowledge them. So if you want to participate in the show, feel free to send us an email with some suggestions. You can nominate yourself if you want. There's no rules. It's dailygunshow@gmail.com. And again, that's a big part of the whole thing, is to use this new media and to get people exercising as audience your input and your ability to participate in this stuff. It's not like a TV show where they just put it on the internet and here's the info, go talk amongst yourselves. You know, it's anyway. All right, gotta calm my dog's jets here.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah, I was just kind of headed moseyed over to the.
While, hold on.
All right. That's all good. Yeah, I was just going over to the whole gun history thing and looking at what's going on. Haven't seen much gun stuff yet, but let's see here. Something with Napoleon. Oh, Orville Wright pilots the first flight longer than 30 minutes. Flight lasted 33 minutes, 17 seconds. Covered 21 miles. Today in 1905.
I always think it's interesting to hear about the beginnings of flight. That was 8 years before my grandfather was born. So it's possible for some guy to have been born before anyone ever took flight and then to have lived long enough to see people stand on the moon.
Yep. That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, pretty neat. One lifetime. That's a massive amount of change. I think it's an inspiration too, because I've seen a lot of apathy, I guess is the word I'm going to continue to use, especially now that Ryan jumped ship and is basically, suggested that the Share Act is dead. So many people are like, well, screw that. He's just a representative and he's just got one voice. There's 30 million of us. So.
Yeah, well, it is definitely disheartening, but it is not a loss yet. So yeah, let's not give up hope.
I've been even hearing people on like the news channels saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of bump stocks." Well, they want to trade bump stocks for silencers. Yeah. Bump stocks, I think, are silly. You can do it without them. So,
no, it's an opportunity. It's not an opportunity to trade. It's not an opportunity to just decide what's more important. It's an opportunity to change the dynamic from the gun is the situation to it has nothing to do with the situation.
Exactly, and that's what I said all along. Is that
the two airplanes that he owns, and decided to smash those into a crowd, any crowd, anywhere, or any, you can imagine the horrible thing you could do with that airplane.
Yep.
There would be no call to ban private ownership of airplanes. There'd be no call to ban any specific type of airplane. There'd be no call to choose if you're going to have individual jet-powered airplanes or if you're going to have individual prop-powered, and you can have one or the other. There's the concept that just because one individual decides to act and the implement he decides to use they don't get to then say, now you have to choose again. It's time to compromise.
Well, it's true, and it is really just like, the whole thing is like you're saying. They could have used an airplane. The guy in France killed more people with a truck. Anytime you have people gathered in a crowd, there's an opportunity for an evil person to commit an evil act.
And how much evil are you going to let this guy do?
Exactly.
to a bunch of people, but are you then going to also empower him? Are you going to collaborate and work with him to remove freedoms from millions, potentially 300 million, but immediately 30 million people, to suggest that 30 million people are somehow involved with this son of a bitch, and to then create legislation, or, and this is just as bad, stop good legislation because of this? That should be held accountable as if he burned the Second Amendment, or he decided to take the Second Amendment out. You can't not advocate because Hillary Clinton decided that she needed to be in the papers again. This guy is horrible. And again, I just got done. I'm taking it over. I'm preaching. I just got done talking for a couple of days with the lady from Colorado who was not solely responsible, but she was one of the spearheads in removing from office the three of the representatives who brought their anti-gun magazine bans and stuff to the state. So there was an immediate relationship, a cause and effect. They did that and they were removed from office. That's changed the political, what do you call it, the political tide in Colorado. No one in Colorado is going to run on gun control. Hillary Clinton ran on gun control and lost miserably. She's going to do anything she possibly can to suggest it was some other thing, but gun control was a part of it. Now, if we allow ourselves to just sit and watch as these sons of bitches opportunistically exploit this situation and remove more, if for no other reason, we know that they don't give a shit about guns, and we don't know they don't give a shit about safety. What they care about is political wins and face. And if we're going to allow this to happen, almost Clinton can save face to a bunch of sons of bitches who, are butthurt that she didn't bully her way into the position of president. Yeah, this is ours to lose. Do you want your descendants to think, oh yeah, you're the generation of idiots who sat around and did nothing while you were bullied by a bunch of people who, exploited a situation?
That's very true.
Sorry, we're getting off topic again. So we're at Boot Hill. we're at Dodge City. I guess I'll go back in and watch the video. It almost looks like the place is getting crowded, which is kind of odd because this place is in the middle of nowhere. And this is definitely, the side note, this was the most creepiest Walmart I've been in on the entire tour.
Oh, really?
Weirdest Walmart ever.
I was like dark or something, or what?
Well, I went in there, I got into town about midnight, and I stopped at the Walmart to camp out, and then went in there to go to the bathroom, and it was a weird scene, let's put it that way, in the bathroom. So then I ditched out of there, got the hell out of Dodge, as they say up here, and went to the bathroom at the back of the store. If you don't know, there's bathrooms in the back of Walmart's usually right in the middle of the back of the store. And they'll have like a men and a women's, and then the family bathroom with like little kids or something. And then you have like your own little room back there because you're near by yourself, and you got like a sink and like 2 different toilets. It's like a little apartment. So anyway, I was going to go like, all right, I'll walk all the way back to there. And then they had them all like shut down. But what was weird too is that, how they make you do your own cash register stuff now? Like they don't even have the regular aisles open anymore, hardly.
Mm-hmm.
You have to scan your own groceries. They were going from like, normally they have that one little pit of them that are about the size of like 2 lanes of regular checkout. They were putting in like 3 times that many. Like they're basically saying, screw this, we're not even hiring employees anymore. You're our employees now.
Yeah, isn't that lovely? They make us do their work for them.
I wouldn't care at all if they gave me like a 10% discount, because they're not hiring anybody to do that.
Let's go over here and fish around in some of these comments, see if we got any coming in. No, more about the Vegas thing. Can you imagine? Clover was saying, I just want to throw this out there real quick. Can you imagine a bomb the size of OKC driven in a 22,000 crowd, all dead, cheaper, and more efficient than having 26 or whatever guns?
Can you guys hear it okay? It's about to start.
Yep. Hold on, let me lock on you.
Wow, it's got Buck Taylor in it?
Hello there. My name is Buck Taylor. He was Louie O'Brien on television's Gunsmoke. Those were wonderful times. Marshall Dillon, Miss Kitty, Doc, Festus. They all brought Dodge City in the West into your homes for 20 years. Now that's the Dodge City that you all watch on television. The Dodge City and Blue Hill are real places in the real American West. The cowboy capital of the world. You can step back in time and experience that history right here at Blue Hill Museum. Movies and the television shows about the West were wonderful. They brought the West to life. But I hear you, Carol Warner. The truth about Dodge City was far more incredible than any movie or television show. In the 1870s, Dodge had more fighting, killing, hard drinking, and gambling than just about any other frontier town, and it all happened right here. Fair share of gunslingers and lawmen, men like Wyatt Earp and Pat Masterson. Oh yes, they were real. Wild, crazy things happen in Dodge of all places. That's a fair question. Why don't you and I relive that? This is where the story of old Dodge City began. The plains of western Kansas. Thousands of square miles of lush prairie grass and hundreds of thousands of buffalo. These vast herds roamed this land with another group of lawmen, the Native Americans, legendary tribes with names like Cheyenne, Comanche, Kiowa, Apache, and many others. Buffalo relied on prairie grass, and the Indians relied on buffalo for food, clothing, tools, weapons, shelter, for just about everything. Now, the Indians, as folks called them back then, had established routes that they'd use to move from place to place. White men soon discovered these trails. They found they could get all the way from Missouri in the east to Mexico in the west. The traders called it the Santa Fe Trail, and 500 miles of it went right through the middle of Kansas. A good trail that in the 1820s, white men started using it to carry gold, silver, hides, and other valuable items to sell and trade. The profits from these trips were very high, but so were the chances they had to take. You see, much of the Santa Fe Trail was an Indian country. It was their land, and the Indians felt like they had to do whatever was necessary to protect it. Now, the Indian culture was a lot different from that of white traders, warriors, and raiders. They'd ambush wagon trains, steal state prisoners, and even a travel scout they had a mind to. But despite all the attacks and killings, profits were high enough to make it worth the risk. Using the trail for years to come. But the Indian attacks couldn't go on forever, and the government of God was important to get the wagons through. So the armies were in the forts along the trail, and in 1865 they built this one, Fort Dodge. The idea was to protect the travelers from the attacking Indian tribes, but the Indians were much better fighters, and the army was losing men by the score. They figured if all the buffalo could be killed, they would force the Indians to give up. And from all across the country, hunters came in by the thousands. They brought guns, horses, wagons, tents. In 1872, they set up camp just outside Fort Dodge. Buffalo City, people called it. 2,000 hunters showed up that year, and the buffalo hunt changed to a massacre. Buffalo was slaughtered. It was incredible. These enormous herds, often 10 miles long, 2 miles wide, would simply stand there as the hunters blasted away with their rifles. He shot 100 in 5 minutes. 1872, something else happened that never changed face of the prairie. The railroad arrived. The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe tracks ran straight through the middle of Buffalo City. The railroad brought building materials and supplies in, and buffalo hides out. Nearly 500,000 in the first year alone. Buffalo lands that grew under the town. And by the end of 1872, it was officially known as named after the nearby Army Corps. As the railroad settlers and supply businesses sprang up everywhere. There were hive dealers, stores, hotels, restaurants, barber shops, and saloons. Lots of saloons. Everything from one-room shanties with dirt floors and bordellos in the back. Halls with fancy carved mahogany bars glittering with paint and mirrors. This 24 hours. Of course, he could spend it just quick. They loved whiskey, music, gambling. Public history. Dodge was full of wild, filthy hunters, fellas and Dirty Ike, and Stinker Jim. And with no law and order to come between hunters, trippers, railroad workers, and soldiers, were part of daily life. In fact, the violence and the killings were so bad, reporters could come from all over, everywhere, just to see the spectacle for themselves. They called Dodge den of thieves, Cadillacs, cut trucks. Dodge City was becoming famous. When somebody was shot in Dodge, they were carried off to a small hill on the edge of town. They were given a quick burial and a shallow grave. Off the boots on. That's how I got his name. Louisville was quickly becoming a frontier legend. 76, just 4 short years, the hunters and drifters were buried there. Most of the Indians had been moved to reservations by now. The large buffalo herds, well, they just now all disappeared. They had solved the Indian problem. The plains buffalo were almost extinct. Well, despite all this, Dodge City was gearing up for round 2. Cattle drives were coming to town. By 1875, the cattle drives began working west. Dodge was already known as a western Kansas oasis, and with the Santa Fe Railroad running right along Front Street, place to pick up ship Texas cattle. Saloons changed their names in places like the Alamo and the Lone Star, gave a familiar greeting to hundreds of Texas cowboys who followed the Dusty Trail. Here, more than 10 million cattle arrived in Dodge, and quickly became known as the cowboy capital of the world. Those rugged cowboys that brought the cattle in had sometimes ridden for 1,000 miles. They needed a bath, new clothes, way to celebrate, but mostly a way to celebrate. With the herd sold and 3 or 4 months' wages in their pockets, they hit the town hard. There was everything a feller needed. Gambling, ranging from 5-cent chuck of luck, $1,000 poker pots, women for hire, and lots of whiskey and beer, which was probably at the root of most of the problems in Dodge. If you're looking for an explosive mixture, try it. Stir up a town full of Texas cowboys, mix in a heaping of gamblers, conmen, and horse thieves, and then add a few 100 gallons of booze, and that. It's no wonder they had murders, killings, shootouts by the score. And 1878 was Dodge's finest year. There was train robberies, horse thieves, dead. The very stuff of Western folklore. Really? I swear, he never did exist. But what Dodge did have was some of the toughest and most famous lawmen that ever walked the West. Pat Masterson, Charlie Bassett, Larry Deeger, and many other fearless peacekeepers. Burt was the original shoot first, ask questions later lawman. Dodge was already world famous as the toughest town on the map. But what really put Dodge in the history books was the way these lawmen had of keeping the peace. Flagler did such a good job of quieting things down that by 1879 there wasn't nothing left for them to shoot except tin cans. Wyatt and Pat left soon after that, as Dodge saw a calm civilization begin to creep in. Folks were settling down. There was talk of hard topping the roads. Churches started popping up. In 1885, an outbreak of Texas fever caused a quarantine law banning the movement of cattle from Texas. The bottom and the cattle drives ended forever. But for Dodge, it was the beginning of her new culture. People were working the land, planting wheat, raising cattle locally, and by 1886, just 15 short years later, Dodge had owned from the wickedest little city in America, respectability. The old ways of the West were soon becoming a memory, relived only in the legends of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, movies, but most of all, right here at Boot Hill Museum. Right now, you're sitting at the foot of the original Boot Hill, where all those characters were buried. When you leave the theater, I'd like to have you take the stairs to your left, straight up the hill, to the people of the Plains Valley. There you will learn of the Native Americans, of cowboys and cattle drivers, and stand in the midst of a buffalo stampede. And here's something else you'll really enjoy. Walk on down for an adventure along Front Street. He said, it's an accurate replica of Dodge City's world-famous Front Street, faithfully reconstructed from photographs of the 1870s. You'll see many of those used by the gunslingers and lawmen, and learn about businesses in the early frontier town of Dodge City. As you stroll through the exhibits and meet a character or two, think about what really went on here. When the folks back home tell you those things never happened, set them straight, because now you and I have relived the legend.
That was pretty interesting.
That was very cool.
Surprised they're pretty cool.
I know it's Buck Taylor. You might know him from such TV shows as Gunsmoke, which was based in Dodge City.
Pointing at.
Back in those times, it wasn't rude to point.
Had my volume turned on. What'd you guys say?
Huh?
I had my volume turned on. What did you say?
Oh, I said back in them times, it wasn't rude to point.
Oh, yeah. Dang, that's the jail. It's like an outhouse.
Somebody got mad and punched a hole in the wall.
Damn. That's your shitter?
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody did pick a hole in the wall. I guess you got nothing else to do. Try to talk to that dude. Sons of bitches.
Yeah, no
That
kidding.
fuck ass. Actual piece of history. Where's the damn hill? Cemetery. It's not that big. Our Tombstone Boot Hill is legit. This one seems tiny. And climbed this lovely hill, pause and say for those who early found our rest upon the prairies once swept ageless heat for us. Weep not for us who early made our beds, wrapped blankets, saddles for our heads. This, our land was young and sank into our graves unknown.
Yeah, so that graveyard was only there for 5 years.
Yeah, this is like, what, a quarter, an eighth of the size of the one in Tombstone?
Yeah, well, they don't do anything halfway in Arizona. They're going to have a graveyard for bad guys. It's going to be a big one.
That's creepy. Great right there.
Almost looked like he'd been clawing his way out of that hole.
Ow.
Did you whack your head?
Boy, Sue, I just nailed my hip. Like, ow, that hurts. This one's really dark because I'm sure the UV would kill all this leather and threads and stuff. What do we got here? Oh, that's neat. They wrapped it in buffalo or in buckskin. Huh. Never seen anything like that before. Dang, wear a hard hat if you come here.
Yeah, well,
Here's
most
the
of them
thing.
aren't going to worry about hitting their heads on something that high up.
It wasn't that high up. I ducked and still hit my head. This thing condition in Arizona almost. We see stuff like this sitting around. To our advantage, we don't have as horrible conditions like they do here.
Yeah, temperature going down all the way to 50. Oh my God.
There's a Pepsi delivery, just like in the olden days.
Yeah, but it would have been sarsaparilla.
Yeah, it would have been a sarsaparilla truck. Right? So this is the back of the place. Definitely not old. Old from like maybe the 80s. Ham Bell served as lawman for 36 years, less known than Wyatt Earp. Fort and lawman. That's why he's got an elephant there. Huh. He had a lift replaced by a bigger wooden structure that grew into the largest building in western Kansas. It had a large elephant illustration, an image that was commonly used in advertising. It was a rendezvous and bedding down place for horses, mules.
Well, apparently the NSA didn't like him talking about elephants.
No elephants on this radio, this air.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that's a pretty neat place though.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like it'd be well worth a stop if you're coming through the state, for sure.
Nothing in the comments. Sweeping too fast. Apparently, Cyclecamp, he was sweeping too fast for his internet too.
Yeah.
He's sweeping too fast.
And there he's back. So you got to quit talking about elephants, man.
Too very much close to Republic, so they can't handle it.
Apparently.
We're here. I don't see the star. Oh, we're here. All right. So Front Street. This is kind of neat. So this is showing you sort of like the actual town back then, and then the pieces that they took and assembled here. So this is sort of an extract of what was out there. So we got the couple of things from Front Street, it looks like. And then, okay, so this is where we are. This is where the existing one is, but it's showing you these businesses. And then these buildings are over here now. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, so as much as they could, they tried to keep the original structures, but at the same time.
Well, look of these structures, moved them here, and then grabbed those and brought them down here. And then we're here. So I'm guessing the scale is a little weird that this is like the museum complex now. But it's those buildings over here, Boot Hill, and then they pulled these buildings from over there over to here. I think that's how I'm understanding.
Yeah, still very cool. And great idea to bring people into your town, you know.
Well, hopefully this thing was useful for people that thought this might have been an interesting thing, but don't have the wherewithal to get out into the middle of nowhere here. Doing like I was doing, going from Oklahoma City to Colorado, I don't see this being on the way to anything. Like it's not between anything really anymore. Sounds like it used to be.
So it's more of a destination.
I think so. I would say so.
Stop on the way somewhere else.
Oh, wow. This in 1958. I was way off. 30 years off. It's actually pretty decent, you know, as far as museums go. They do a pretty good job. There's little stuff like this everywhere. And goofy. It looks, you know, authentic to just take a look at it. I don't know if you noticed that that sign was in one of those old pictures. So that's just not an ad that's, you know, reminiscent. It's a what do you call it?
Prickly ash bitters.
Look at this.
Yeah, the first gun control, eh?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton. She'd be over here going, should be knives too. $150.
Yeah, she probably was back then. You know, because apparently witches can live for hundreds of years.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if you have enough innocent victims to drink the blood of, and she probably had that.
Oh yeah, in droves.
And we probably destroyed the time slot. But it's kind of a good thing we ended up moving the show to the day, because I wouldn't be able to do stuff like this. You know, it would be closed, and we'd be smashing into all the primetime shows on gun channels. But let's see, we covered Gun Shop of the Day, the Zimmerman Gun Shop from Dodge City. We covered a movie of the day, that 13-minute explanation of the town and the museum. Did we do a gun of the day? Bob's trying to get out of his work.
Those crafty Canadians.
Oh, we did a gun of the day. It's just, it's not really, you know, appropriate for the show. So I'm going to change it to the
I'll go in there again.
Smith.
Let's change it.
Schofield.
All right, let me go grab one. Let me just open up one of these cases and pull one off the shelf.
Schofield, so we can just take a look at it. Yeah, but this is a gun that was popular with outlaws.
Go into this first. And then this is the beginning of the museum. All right, Schofield. Is that one there?
Looks like.
Is that?
Yes, they were
talking about.
They were a top break revolver that would eject all the shell casings. So much quicker reload than any other type of single action. They were still a single action revolver at that point. They were quite popular. They were really developed as a cavalry gun because they were much easier to reload, on horseback. They had some problems with a little bit of fragility, but they were actually liked by a lot of the outlaws for the very reason it was a quicker reload. It was a decent round, 44, I think it was 44 Smith & Wesson or 44 Russian. But yeah, it was a decent round, just as good as a 45, really. Man, a good gun. I mean, they had some reliability problems, but they all did back then. I mean, you couldn't make everything like a Colt. So
yeah, they're all still being developed. So that's the Smith & Wesson Model 1. A Model 2 looks kind of like it. And this is a Smith & Wesson Model 3. So third guns they came out with in the line. According to the thing here at the museum, it says the Model 3 was the first standard issue cartridge firing revolver in U.S. service. This firearm was also popular with lawmen and outlaws in the West. It was by Jesse James, John Wesley Hardin, Pat Garrett, Theodore Roosevelt, Virgil, and many others. The Model 3 revolver was used by Wyatt Earp during the famous OK Corral gunfight in Tombstone.
Yeah, so quite a famous gun.
That's a Lightning next to it, which is a double action revolver. One of the first, basically the first double action revolver. So how can you tell the difference between a single action and a double action revolver? It's fairly evident from having these two next to each other like this.
Yeah, just look at where the trigger sits.
Yep. So if it's a single action, the trigger just drops the hammer, so it doesn't do anything. On a double action, it has to do double the work. It has to do two things. It has to cock the hammer, move the cylinder, and drop the hammer. So it's got more movement in the trigger. So when you see one, as long as the gun isn't broken, if you see one with its trigger to the rear like that, then that's an indication it's single action. And then when the trigger's in the middle of the trigger guard, that's an indication that it's
But yeah, so I think it was a really decent gun. And that's our gun of the day, which is appropriate for the fact that we're in Tombstone or Dodge City. Forgot where it was.
Can't argue with a 45 being the gun of the day.
Yeah, 44 actually, but yeah,
No.
what?
It's close.
So we talk about what's on later on Gun Channel.
Today's Wednesday, so I think Matt's gonna have his politics chat. Yeah, he has the geek one on Monday, so Matt's gonna have his chat tonight. Never enough ammo.
That's going to be an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, I feel bad for Matt. You'd like to think that there's some kind of political topic for him for a Wednesday show.
Yeah,
He'll have to come up with something.
Well, I'm sure he'll scrape something up.
Oh, as a show as well, no?
Yes. Actually, I got to put him in the schedule.
But this is the day he talks about youth shooting, the future of shooting. The next generation, I think.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's Clover Tack's Next Generation.
Ooh, is he going to have phasers on it?
Our next generation of shooters from the 4-H angle. All right, so it's that, like I say, it's Wednesday every day. Pretty much, there's scheduled. We call them primetime shows, but we also have early watch. Jimmy's not only the managing director of this one, he's also producing a show before this one from 9:30 a.m. Eastern, all the way up till ours starts at noon. Typically after this, Pants or Pawnery or anybody's welcome to start up a live lobby. That's what we call the open discussion over on Gun Channels. Knives will do those in the evenings. Pink started the whole thing, and others have jumped in whenever there's not a lobby going. If you go on to Gun Channels and there's not a lobby going, you want to start one, feel free. If you go into Gun Channels, there is a lobby going, but it's a bunch of blowhards chatting about stuff you don't care about, start another room up. That's what the whole point is. There's plenty of space there, and there's always going to be audience. So appreciate all the people that are posting those lobby chats. And then, like I say, we do it seems like we have a pretty full schedule of primetime stuff as well.
For sure. Well, I think we might have just wrapped the show up. Don't really have anything left, do we?
Oh yeah, it sounds good to me.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We were spent the day in Dodge City. Well, we'll end our show with our quote as usual. Today's by Ronald Reagan, just for a little change of pace. And before that, I just want to remind everybody, please like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you can, support us on Patreon. The link is in the show description. And if you can't do that, maybe you just want some goodies. We have, if you go to the Gear Websites store, we have patches and shirts and cups and all kinds of things you can buy.
And thanks to everybody with their questions, because we haven't been shipping stuff for a month now. Only one person has flipped out for that, but I appreciate everybody else who's made purchases, because I didn't sell any for 3 months. I sold like 4 things in 3 months, and then as soon as I go on the trip, people started buying stuff again. So do appreciate the people that have bought it, and also your patience with it delivered. Store shouldn't sell anything we don't have, but if people got in the house and ain't interested.
All right. So I think on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Like I say, this is a quote by Ronald Reagan. When you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. And that's something we can keep in mind with the politicians. Write your letters, get the word out there that, we're not falling for this crap. Just because one man went insane doesn't mean you're going to punish the rest of us. So on that note,
punishment depends on us sitting down and doing nothing. When 30 million gun owners, if 10% of us stood up, that's a show of camaraderie that they would send them right up. We're only able to do this because they bully us. We don't get mad about it.
That's right. So thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll see you all tomorrow.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.